My brother snapped you called the police on your own family after showing up at my cabin for his unforgettable honeymoon without my permission. So I responded no. I called the police on trespassers. I worked in IT but not wealthy by Silicon Valley standards. But I'm comfortable enough that I could afford something I dreamed about since childhood, a cabin in the mountains of Colorado. This isn't just any cabin. It's my sanctuary. My escape from the tech world's relentless chaos. I bought it 3 years ago for $450,000, a fixer-upper that hadn't been touched since the 1970s. I spent the next 18 months completely gutting and renovating it myself. Every tile, every board, every fixture was chosen by me. I installed a professional-grade kitchen because cooking is my therapy. I built a floor-to-ceiling library wall for my collection of first editions and programming books. I created a meditation space with panoramic windows overlooking the valley. The master bathroom has a Japanese-style soaking tub I imported. This place is literally built for my sweat dreams and countless YouTube tutorials. My parents Robert 60M and Patricia 58F have always favored my younger brother Michael 23M. Classic golden child situation. He could do no wrong while I was expected to be the responsible one. I paid my way through college working night shifts at a data center. He got a free ride from them. I worked 3 jobs in my 20s to pay off student loans. He found himself traveling through Europe on their dime. I'm not bitter about it anymore. I built my success despite their favoritism, not because of their support. The cabin became a point of contention from day one. When I bought it, my mother's first comment was, "Oh good, now we have a family vacation home." I corrected her immediately. This was my private property, not communal family space. She laughed it off, but I could see in her eyes she didn't really believe me. Over the years, I'd been generous but firm with boundaries. I'd invited them up twice. Once for my father's 60th birthday, once for Thanksgiving. Both times they treated the place like a hotel. Left messes complained about the weird food in my refrigerator. Apparently having kombucha and specialty cheeses is pretentious, and my mother actually rearranged my kitchen because it didn't make sense. After Thanksgiving, when I found they'd gone through my bedroom drawers looking for extra blankets that were clearly in the linen closet I'd shown them, I stopped inviting them. 6 weeks ago, Michael announced he was getting married to Jennifer 22F, whom he'd known for all of 8 months. They met at a music festival, where according to Michael, their souls connected on a cosmic level. My parents were thrilled, immediately planning this massive wedding they couldn't really afford. My father had just retired from his position as a middle manager at a manufacturing company, and my mother worked part-time at a library. But suddenly they were looking at venues that cost more than my father's annual pension. During a family dinner at their house one I attended mainly to maintain some semblance of family connection. The conversation turned to honeymoon plans. "James," my mother started with that tone I've learned to dread. The one that sounds sweet but has steel underneath. "Your brother needs somewhere special for his honeymoon." "That's nice," I said, focusing on the overcooked pot roast she'd made. "I'm sure he'll find something great." "We were thinking your cabin would be perfect," my father added, as if it was already decided. He didn't even look up from his plate, just stated it like he was commenting on the weather. I looked up slowly, setting down my fork. "You want to rent my cabin?" My mother laughed, that tinkling laugh that always preceded something manipulative. "Rent, James? He's your brother. Family doesn't charge family." "I see. And when would this be?" "The last 2 weeks of June." Michael chimed in, grinning like this was all settled. He had that same smug look he'd had as a kid when he knew our parents would give him whatever he wanted. "Jen's always wanted a mountain retreat honeymoon." "It's perfect timing." Jennifer nodded enthusiastically. "I've seen the pictures on your Instagram. It's exactly what I've dreamed of. Rustic but luxurious. Isolated but comfortable. We could really connect with nature and each other." "That's interesting," I said calmly, though I could feel my jaw clenching because I'll be at the cabin then. I always spend those weeks there. It's my annual retreat. The table went quiet, the kind of quiet that happens before a storm. My father's face rained, his neck veins starting to show a sure sign of incoming rage. "You can go another time." "No, I can't. I book my time off a year in advance. My team plans around my absence. This is non-negotiable." My mother's voice turned sharp, dropping all pretense of sweetness. "James, don't be selfish. Your brother is only getting married once." "Hopefully," I said, which earned me glares from everyone, but my answer is no. "The cabin is not available." Michael slammed his hand on the table, making the dishes jump. "This is nonsense. You have that place year-round and can't give your only brother 2 freaking weeks." "Language." "Michael," my mother said softly, but she was glaring at me, not him. "Correct," I said. "Standing up because it's mine. I bought it with my money. I renovated it with my hands. I maintain it with my time and funds. It's not family property." My father stood too towering over me like he used to when I was a kid. "We are family. What's yours should be available to your brother when he needs it. We raised you better than this selfishness." "Interesting philosophy," I said, pulling out my phone. "So, Michael's BMW is available to me whenever. Your house is mine to use at will. Mom's jewelry is communal property. That's how this works. That's different. My mother sputtered, her face flushing. How I asked, please explain how my private property is communal but yours isn't. I'm genuinely curious about this selective socialism you're practicing. My father stepped closer. We're your parents. We sacrificed everything for you boys. You sacrificed for one of us, I said quietly. I paid for my own college while Michael got a free ride. I worked from 15 on while Michael got allowances until he was 21. I bought my first car myself while Michael got a BMW for his 18th birthday. So please tell me more about these equal sacrifices. Jennifer spoke up, then her voice sweet, but her eyes calculating. James, I understand you worked hard for your cabin, but don't you think family should come first? Michael and I are just starting our lives together. Wouldn't it mean so much to you to be part of our love story? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Designer clothes, expensive highlights, manicured nails that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Jennifer, I don't know you. We've met 3 times. You're marrying my brother, not me. My property isn't part of your love story. They couldn't respond logically. Of course, the dinner ended with them calling me selfish, heartless, and not a real family member. My mother actually said I must be broken inside to deny my brother this simple request. Michael sent me a text that night calling me an AH and saying Jennifer was devastated that I'd ruined their dream honeymoon. He added that I'd always been jealous of him, and this was my pathetic revenge. I thought that was the end of it. I blocked Michael's number and figured they'd find another honeymoon spot. I was catastrophically wrong. Update 1. They tried to break in. 2 weeks after that dinner, I was in a meeting with clients when I got an alert on my phone for my cabin security system. Multiple motion detectors were going off. I excused myself and pulled up the cameras to see my parents' car in my driveway and my father trying to jimmy the lock on my front door with what looked like a crowbar while my mother stood lookout. My heart was pounding. These were my parents literally trying to break into my house. I immediately called the local police and reported a break-in in progress, giving them the address and describing the suspects. Then I called my parents. My father answered on speaker. What the hell are you doing at my cabin? I asked, my voice shaking with rage. We're checking it out for Michael's honeymoon, he said, still working on the lock. I could hear the metal scraping. Someone needs to make sure it's suitable and get it ready. You're breaking and entering. I've called the police. My mother's voice came through panic. You called the police on your parents. What's wrong with you? I called the police on intruders attempting to break into my property. Leave now. Don't be dramatic, James. My father grunted, still working on the lock. We're your parents. We have a right to see this place you're so selfish about. You have no rights to my property. The police are on their way. They didn't leave. The police arrived 15 minutes later and found them still trying to get in now through a window. My father had actually removed the screen and was trying to force the window open. The officers recognized my parents from town, but did their job professionally. My parents tried to explain it was their son's property, that this was a family misunderstanding. I'd stayed on the phone with dispatch and told them clearly I am the sole owner. They have no permission to be there. I want them trespassed and arrested if necessary. The officers issued them a formal trespass warning after I emailed them proof of ownership. If they returned, they'd be arrested. My parents were humiliated, especially when the officers made them acknowledge on body cam that they understood they were banned from the property. My mother cried. My father's face was purple with rage. The officers had to escort them off the property because my father kept insisting he had a right as a father to access his son's property. That night, my phone exploded. Extended family, friends, even people I hadn't talked to in years were messaging me. My parents had gone on Facebook and painted me as a monster who'd called the cops on them for trying to help prepare the cabin for Michael's honeymoon. They conveniently left out the breaking and entering part. My Aunt Linda called me screaming that I was tearing the family apart. My Uncle Charles said I needed therapy for my control issues. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years were sending me messages calling me heartless. The family group chat was a disaster. Michael had posted pictures of Jennifer crying, claiming I'd destroyed her dreams. I posted my own response on Facebook. To clarify, I called the police on 2 individuals attempting to break into my private property after being explicitly told they were not welcome there. They were using tools to try to force entry. The fact that these individuals were my parents makes their actions worse, not better. They knew they had no permission and tried to break in anyway. I have security footage of the entire incident, which has been provided to law enforcement. I attached a single screenshot from the security footage showing my father with a crowbar at my door. The comments on my parents' post shifted dramatically. Michael called me screaming that I'd humiliated the family. His exact words were, "You're such a piece of crap. Mom's on anxiety medication now because of you. Your parents humiliated themselves by trying to commit a crime," I replied calmly. "It's just a stupid cabin," he yelled. "You probably don't even use it that much. You're just being a selfish prick because you can. Then buy your own stupid cabin," I replied, and hung up. That's when I decided to go nuclear. If they wouldn't respect my boundaries, I'd make those boundaries into walls. Update 2. Fort Knox has nothing on my cabin now. After the attempted break-in, I realized my family would never respect my boundaries without serious consequences. So I hired a private security company. Not just any security, but a firm that specializes in executive protection and property management called Fortress Security Solutions. The consultation was eye-opening. The security expert, a former Secret Service agent named David, looked at my property and said, "Based on what you've told me, your family will escalate. We see this in domestic situations. People who feel entitled don't give up easily." Over the next week, they installed a new reinforced doors with multi-point locking systems, $8,000. A security film on all windows, making them essentially shatterproof, $5,000. A comprehensive camera system with 247 monitoring and cloud storage, $15,000. A motion sensor covering every approach with different zones, $3,000. Aeropanic room built into the master bedroom closet, $25,000. Electronic locks that only I can authorize with biometric and code combinations for $1,000. Air contract for random patrols during the weeks I'm not there, $500 per month. A perimeter fencing with sensors, $12,000. The cost was significant, over $70,000 total. But I considered it an investment in my peace of mind and a message to my family. I also had my lawyer Thomas send a cease and desist letter to my entire immediate family, warning them that any attempt to access my property would result in criminal prosecution. The letter detailed the previous trespass incident and made clear that any further attempts would be met with full legal action. The family group chat exploded when Michael posted a photo of the letter. "Are you serious?" was his opener. "You hired lawyers against your own family. You're actually insane," my Aunt Linda chimed in. "James, this is going too far. It's just a cabin. You're destroying the family over property." "If it's just a cabin," I responded, "then why is everyone so desperate to access it against my will?" My cousin Nancy, "You're tearing this family apart over property. Your parents are devastated. Your mom hasn't stopped crying for days." "No," I replied. "I'm establishing boundaries. The family is tearing itself apart by refusing to respect them. And if my mother is crying, perhaps she should reflect on why she thought breaking into my house was acceptable." My mother tried calling me 47 times that day. I didn't answer once. She left voicemails that ranged from sobbing about how I was destroying the family and breaking her heart to screaming that I was sick in the head and needed help. My father left one saying I was no longer his son and he was writing me out of the will. "Good," I texted him. "Then you definitely have no claim to my property. And considering I'm worth more than your entire estate, I think I'll survive without your $50,000 life insurance policy." The security company called me the next week. They'd encountered my brother trying to scale the fence I'd had installed. He'd told them he was family and had a right to be there. When they informed him that they had explicit instructions that no family members were allowed and that the police had been called, he tried to run. He didn't make it far. Michael was arrested for criminal trespass and attempted burglary because he had tools with him. He spent a night in jail before Jennifer bailed him out. The mugshot was unflattering. He looked exactly like what he was, a spoiled brat who'd finally faced consequences. My parents hired a lawyer to try to get the charges dropped. The lawyer actually called me to see if I'd reconsider. "Your brother made a mistake," she said. "He's young and in love. Surely you don't want to ruin his life over this." "He's 23, not 13, I replied, "and he made a choice, not a mistake. He can face the consequences like an adult." The lawyer then tried a different approach. "Your parents are prepared to sue you for emotional distress." I laughed. "For what?" "For not giving them my property. For calling the police when they tried to break in. Please file that lawsuit. I'd love to see a judge's face when you explain that they're suing because I won't let them steal my vacation home." She hung up. They never filed the lawsuit. Update 3. The wedding wasn't what they planned. Michael's wedding was scheduled for June 1st. I wasn't invited, which was fine by me. They'd sent me an uninvitation and actual card saying I was specifically not welcome at their celebration of love because I didn't understand family values. I framed it. It hangs in my cabin's bathroom. I heard about what happened through my cousin Sarah, the only family member who'd stayed neutral. She called me the day after with the full story. Apparently, the financial reality of the wedding hit hard when my parents realized they'd been counting on using my cabin to save on honeymoon costs. Without that option, and with the legal fees for Michael's arrest around $10,000 for the lawyer and bail, they had to significantly scale back the wedding. The country club venue became a VFW hall. The 7-course meal became a buffet. The live band became a DJ, who was actually just Michael's friend with a Spotify premium account. The designer dress Jennifer had picked out became a rental. Jennifer was not happy. She'd been promised a fairy tale wedding and mountain retreat honeymoon. Instead, she got a backyard ceremony and a long weekend at a budget hotel 2 towns over. Sarah said Jennifer spent the entire reception making passive-aggressive comments about some families actually supporting each other and how in her family they share their blessing. The best part, Sarah told me laughing, was when Jennifer caught the bouquet and said into the microphone, "Maybe for my next wedding, I'll marry into a family that actually cares about each other." Michael's face was priceless. My mother cornered Sarah at the wedding drunk on cheap wine and sobbed about how I'd ruined everything. She claimed if I'd just given them the cabin, none of the legal troubles would have happened, and they could have afforded the dream wedding. She kept saying Sarah recounted James has so much. Why couldn't he share just this? Once I asked her if she'd ever shared her house with you, when you needed it. She said that was different, but couldn't explain why. The reception ended early when my father got into an argument with Jennifer's parents about the quality of the wedding. Jennifer's father, a successful real estate developer, apparently said something about false advertising regarding Michael's family's financial situation. My father threw a punch. He fell into the wedding cake and had to be escorted out. The marriage lasted exactly 73 days. Update 4, the aftermath and the divorce. Jennifer left Michael in late August. According to the court documents, public record I checked, she filed for annulment citing fraud. Apparently, Michael had told her his family owned multiple properties, that he was in line to inherit a mountain estate, and that his brother Mai was going to make him a partner in his tech empire. She'd married him thinking she was getting into a wealthy family. When she found out he was actually unemployed, $40,000 in debt from credit cards, living with our parents, and that the cabin was mine and completely off limits, she was done. The fact that their honeymoon was at a comfort inn instead of my cabin was apparently the final straw. The annulment documents included text messages Michael had sent her before the wedding, promising her a life of luxury vacations at the family cabin and a future where money would never be a concern. He'd even sent her photos of my cabin, claiming it would be theirs someday. Jennifer's lawyer reached out to me for a statement. I provided a simple affidavit stating that Michael had no claim to my property, never would, and that I'd explicitly banned him from it. I also mentioned the arrest for trespassing. Jennifer got her annulment. The legal fees from the divorce combined with the previous arrest fees have put my parents in serious financial strain. They're looking at downsizing their house. My father's pension isn't enough to cover their mortgage and the legal debts. My mother had to take a full-time job at age 58 working retail at a department store. The family members who initially supported them have grown tired of the drama. Most have quietly reached out to me to say they understand my position now. Aunt Linda actually apologized, saying I didn't realize how crazy they'd gotten about that cabin. Robert showed up at my house demanding I loan him money for Michael's lawyer, and when I said no, he called me a traitor. I get it now. Last month, my mother tried a different approach. She sent me a long email about how families should forgive and how she's ready to move past all this unpleasantness. She suggested we could start fresh if I just apologized for overreacting and maybe let them use the cabin for a weekend to heal as a family. The email was a masterpiece of manipulation. She mentioned how my father's health was suffering from the stress, his blood pressure, apparently, how she never thought her family would be torn apart like this, and how all she wanted was to see her sons happy. She even included a photo of me and Michael as kids playing in their backyard. I responded, Patricia, not Mom. There is nothing to forgive. You attempted to steal from me, broke the law, and faced appropriate consequences. I have moved past it by ensuring it can never happen again. The cabin will never be available to you, Robert or Michael. This is not a negotiation. Do not contact me again about this matter. She forwarded my response to the entire family with a subject line. Look how he talks to his mother. The responses were not what she expected. Sarah replied, all seems perfectly reasonable to me. Uncle Charles wrote, maybe if you hadn't tried to break into his house, he'd be nicer. Update 5. My new life and their continuing spiral. Meanwhile, I've been living my best life. I've hosted several gatherings at the cabin for my chosen family friends who've actually supported me, colleagues who respect boundaries. And Sarah, the one blood relative who didn't try to manipulate me. Last month, I had a weekend retreat for my team. 12 people catered meals, team building exercises during the day, and bonfire discussions at night. My CEO attended and was so impressed with the venue that she asked if I'd consider renting it for the company's executive retreat. I politely declined, but offered to host it myself. She understood completely. Some spaces are too personal to commercialize. She said I had a barbecue there last weekend for the 4th of July. Posted some photos on social media. Nothing petty, just genuine enjoyment with people who actually care about me. Friends playing volleyball, kids, my friends' children roasting marshmallows, my girlfriend. Yes, I started dating someone amazing named Rebecca, laughing at something our friend said. One photo showed the new deck I'd built. Another showed the professional outdoor kitchen I'd installed where the old fire pit used to be. My friend David commented, this place looks amazing. Thanks for sharing your sanctuary with us. Best 4th of July ever. My mother saw it and texted, so you'll let strangers use it, but not family. I let people I trust use it. I replied, you've proven you're not trustworthy. She tried calling. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying I was rubbing it in her face and that I was cruel for flaunting my wealth while they struggled. The irony of her calling me cruel while she tried to guilt me into giving her access to my property wasn't lost on me. Michael reached out 2 weeks ago not to apologize, but to ask if I could loan him money for a new apartment. Jennifer had apparently cleaned him out in the annulment. She got to keep all the wedding gifts, including about $5,000 in cash gifts. He needed first and last month's rent plus security deposit. I thought I wasn't your brother anymore, I replied. Come on, James. You know I didn't mean that. I was just angry. Weird blood. Blood that tried to break into my house. No, you're really going to let me be homeless? You have parents with a house. You're not homeless. You're just facing consequences. He sent me about 30 texts calling me every name in the book. I blocked him again. My father attempted to reach out through a mutual acquaintance, asking them to tell me that he was willing to forgive me if I helped them with their mortgage payments. The acquaintance who knew the whole story laughed and told him he had it backwards. I was the one who should be forgiving them. My father apparently stormed out of the restaurant where they were meeting. Final update. 6 months later, the reality sets in. Yesterday marked exactly 6 months since this all started. I'm at my cabin now in the middle of my annual 2-week retreat, the one they tried to steal from me. The morning mist is rolling through the valley. I'm sipping coffee. I roasted myself on the new professional roster I bought, and I'm reflecting on how much has changed. The security system shows no intrusion attempts in the past 3 months. The security company has suggested I could scale back the patrols, but I've kept them. The $500 monthly fee is worth the peace of mind, and honestly, the security guards have become friends. They sometimes join me for coffee when I'm here. One of them, Anthony, is a veteran who says patrolling my property is the easiest gig he's ever had. Michael is living in a studio apartment on the wrong side of town, working retail at an electronics store. From what Sarah tells me, he's finally starting to understand that the world doesn't owe him anything. He sent me a message last week, not an apology exactly, but an acknowledgement that he handled things poorly and that he maybe shouldn't have tried to break in. The message continued, "I always thought you owed me something because you were successful and I wasn't. Mom and Dad always said family shares everything, but I get it now. You earned what you have. I didn't. I'm sorry for trying to take it." It was the closest thing to accountability I'd ever heard from him. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. Some bridges once burned don't need rebuilding, but sometimes it's nice to see someone finally understand why the bridge burned in the first place. My parents have sold their house and moved to a 1-bedroom apartment. The family narrative has shifted from James being selfish to maybe Robert and Patricia shouldn't have tried to break into his house. Funny how legal consequences change perspectives. The extended family has largely moved on. The drama is old news, and most have quietly admitted to Sarah that they would have done the same in my position. My Aunt Linda even said I wouldn't let anyone take my vacation home either. I just didn't want to get in the middle of it. Your parents were so insistent that you were wrong, but looking back, they were literally trying to commit crimes. Sarah visited last month with her husband and kids. As we sat on the deck watching the sunset, she said something that stuck with me. You know, everyone talks about blood being thicker than water, but the full quote is, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The bonds we choose are stronger than the ones we're born into." She's right. My chosen family, Rebecca, who respects my boundaries without question. My friends who celebrate my success without trying to claim it. My colleagues who see my cabin as the generous gesture it is when I share it, not an entitlement. They're my real family. They don't show up expecting to take what's mine. They show up grateful to be included in what I choose to share. The security system is still active, still monitored, still necessary for my peace of mind. It represents something important. The decision to protect what I've built, to value my own peace over others' expectations, to choose myself, even when that choice comes with consequences. I've learned that family isn't a free pass to violate boundaries. It's not an excuse for entitlement, manipulation, or theft. Real family chosen or biological respects. Your autonomy celebrates your success without trying to claim it and understands that no is a complete sentence. My therapist? Yes, I started therapy. After all this said something profound. You didn't destroy your family. You revealed what was already broken. Their inability to see you as a separate person with your own rights and property. Their reaction to your boundaries told you everything you needed to know about their respect for you. Rebecca met my parents once before she knew the whole story. We ran into them at a restaurant in town. My mother immediately started crying, saying I was keeping them from their son. My father called Rebecca a gold digger who was probably after the cabin. Rebecca, a surgeon who makes twice what I do, laughed and said, "I have my own cabin. Thanks. I'm with James because he knows how to maintain boundaries." The look on their faces was priceless. My mother sputtered, "But family. The family that tries to break into your house isn't family," Rebecca said calmly. "They're criminals. We left them standing there." Rebecca later told me that interaction told her everything she needed to know about why I'd gone no contact. As I sit here in my sanctuary surrounded by the peace I fought to protect, I have no regrets. The cabin remains mine alone, a testament to what I've built and what I'm willing to defend. The family I lost was never really mine to begin with. There were people who saw me as a resource to exploit, not a person to respect. The sunrise this morning was spectacular. I watched it from the hot tub I installed last month. Rebecca beside me, both of us silent in the perfection of the moment. No drama, no manipulation, no one trying to take what we've earned, just peace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply living well, enforcing your boundaries, and letting others face the natural consequences of their actions. My parents and brother learned that my property isn't communal, my success isn't theirs to claim, and my boundaries aren't suggestions. The cabin stands as more than just a building now. It's a symbol of self-respect, of choosing peace over people-pleasing, of recognizing that sometimes the price of family harmony is simply too high. Every sunrise I watch from this deck, Every meal I cook in this kitchen, every book I read in this library is a reminder that I chose myself, and that choice was the right one. To anyone facing similar family pressure, your property is yours. Your boundaries are valid, and anyone who truly loves you will respect both without question. Don't let family become a weapon used to beat you into submission. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and them is to show them that actions have consequences. The mountain air is crisp this morning. The coffee is perfect, and for the first time in my life, I'm surrounded only by people who respect me. The fortress I built isn't just physical. It's emotional, psychological, and absolutely necessary. And from where I'm sitting, the view is spectacular. My name is James. I'm 32 years old. I own a cabin that my family will never set foot in again, and I've never been happier.